Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to another stream, and welcome to the final chapter working on our F-22 Raptor from Hasegawa 1/48 scale. Alright, if I'll just get that intro loaded, we will go from there. It's the final chapter, guys. We're almost done. After finishing off my painting yesterday, I had to spend about another 3 hours doing the decals on it. And this is what she looks like now. Okay? A bunch of decals and everything. She's looking almost done, right? Almost done. I say almost because I still have a little bit of painting to do. Not much, but a little bit. We're going to make this bird really dirty. Going to make it messy, and then we're going to clean it up a little bit, and then we're going to put clear coat over it again, and then put our final fins on, and she'll be done. Okay, so one thing I will mention, before putting the decals on, I did spray this with a gloss clear coat, just to get it all uniform with the paint, and then I put all the decals on, and then after I put another coat of clear coat over top of the decals to seal all the decals in nicely. A couple of decals did not really want to lay down really well, like in particular this guy here that's in the center of the spine. He wanted to have air bubbles underneath of him, and this guy that goes up right behind the cockpit, convincing him to lay down flat was a bit of a challenge. It took him a while, but I like to use this to me as Mark Fit. You get it on the overhead camera there. Super strong. I like this stuff. That helps the decals lay down nice and flat when you run into those problems. And so yeah, there's not a lot of decals on the bottom, mostly up in the center here. That's about it. Surprisingly enough, there's not a lot of decals on the nose of this plane. I was actually quite surprised. But anyway, I need to do a little bit of detailing on the engine nozzles. As you can see, I've already got the top done. I just need to do the last color on the bottom. Every reference photo I've seen shows that these dark, almost extremely rusty sections. They look rusty. It's a dark red brown in every picture, except for like maybe one where the plane seems to be brand new. It's just like bare iron, I guess. But we're doing a plane that's been in service for a little while, so that's why I've gone with that dark red rusty looking color. So I need to mix that. So what I've done is I grabbed my Vallejo Model Air. I use these even for brush paint, because Vallejo paints, I don't like spraying them. I don't like air spraying them. I get so much tip drying, nozzle drying on them that it becomes a nightmare. So I prefer even the air ones, which you can spray right out of the bottles. Do a little bit of the brown, dark brown. This is the burnt umber, and this one is German red brown. Mix those two, and I'll use a little bit of Vallejo's Airbrush Flow Improver, just a drop. This stuff is a kind of a retarder. It slows the drying process and also thins it just a little bit. So I'll just use my brush and mix these up. I think I might need a little more burnt umber in this. It's a little too red. Yeah, a little more of the dark. There we go. That ought to do it. Give us the nice dark red that we want. We're going to mimic a little bit of rust, old rust, not fresh. There we go. Okay, so I'll change the camera. You can watch me paint a little bit. I know I don't normally paint on my channel, but yeah. Put my coffee back there so I don't accidentally spill it. These can go away. These are done. We'll grab our bird. And we'll start painting. I'm probably Now the top side needed about 3 coats to get good coverage on this. I'm sorry if my head's in view. I'm not the best brush painter. Looking back, I probably would benefit from masking, but I can also touch this up after. Get any little splooges or blotches on there, you can always go back and touch up. Vallejo paints are water-based, so you can just do what I do, wet a Q-tip or something like that and wipe away excess if you get some on the outside that you don't want. Okay, so that's pretty good. We're going to let that dry for a minute. Sorry if my head's covering the camera, but I need to see this, and my eyes ain't what they used to be, so I gotta get in close. Turn this around again. Alright, okay, so that's going to take a minute or 5 to dry, so I'll set that down. And I'm going to take the time to get a little dish of water to clean my brush. Okay? Okay, clean that up. You could actually use a wet brush if you got some on the outside that you really messed up on. If you wanted to just fix your mistakes, and you can dilute this down and just paint the edge like that. If you really went outside, kind of reactivate that, and then grab a Q-tip. You can let your brush drop right on the floor and just kind of wipe that away on that edge and clean that up, right? Because I put that flow improver in there, it's going to take a little bit longer to dry, especially this one, because the first section I did, I put on pretty thick. But that's alright, as long as I don't touch it, it'll be fine. Okay, the top side's already finished, it's done. I really hate that circle coming up on there. Definitely got to find a better camera app. Okay. Even though this is still really wet, I really want to dry it. I'm going to cut the video for you guys watching later. You guys live, you get to watch and just sit and watch paint dry. Alright, you guys watching me live to get to just watch paint dry for a minute or 5 while I wait. Okay. My initial one here looks good, but that one's done. Now I found if you actually go too much with your brush strokes, you actually do yourself a disservice and you start removing paint as you start activating the layer underneath. Especially if you're like me and you're going over it with it still a little bit wet. Got a little smush there. Okay, now that's done. Now that's going to take some time to dry because it's really wet. Okay, I went and grabbed water for my brush, but I need to actually take this and rinse that out properly. So I'll be back in a second, or 30 seconds. All right. Now this is kind of exactly why I do not do my brush painting on camera. Because with brush painting, you gotta let this dry, and you can't really touch it, right? You can't really do anything with it because it's got to dry now. If I were to spray some clear over it, well, that would just be clear right over wet paint. So I don't want that either. Doing panel lining over it, it's going to activate the paint. It's going to, when I try and wipe it clear, it's going to wipe my base coat down. So we're going to do the top first. Well, the bottom is drying. I actually want to do something like this, so it's got something to sit on instead of sitting on the engines. And I'm going to move my coffee. Okay, change the camera. I'll show you what I'm going to do. We're going to be using AK panel liner. Okay, this stuff here. This color happens to be panel liner for gray and blue. Okay, so shake this up. There's a lot of pigment in these, so I like to put a bolt or something inside of them and really get that pigment mixed up. Okay, and I'm going to use a bigger brush. Let me find my bigger brush. There you are. Okay, using this guy here. Okay, as you can see, it's really, really dark. And we're going to go around every panel line on this plane. Okay, and I'm not going to care about precision at all. Okay, because we're making it messy. And we're also going to be cleaning it up after. So it doesn't matter how precise you are. We're just going around every line on this plane. Basically just going and tracing every single line around the whole thing. Not really worrying about actually getting on the lines perfectly. It doesn't really matter. You can be as messy or as clean as you want, because in the end we're going to be cleaning it all up anyway. So basically just going through line after line, and we got to give it a minute or so to dry. It's funny, the jagged details that they have on the top and the middle of the plane on these F-22s. I don't know, whoever came up with those jagged edges, and yeah, it's definitely unique to the F-22. I imagine it's an engineering nightmare to fabricate all those panels and get them all perfectly. But anyway, that's not for us to worry about, right? We're just building the models. So yeah, we just go through all the lines everywhere on it, and yeah, just continue on. Again, you just make it as clean or as dirty as you want. The more you put on, the dirty it's going to look after you clean it up and wipe it all clean like that, right? So yeah, just continue on and do what you do. Just take your time and yep, make sure you get every line. If you leave one out, you're going to find it's going to look a little strange when all of a sudden you've got one panel line that has no black line on it at all. So yep, just clean it up, get ready. I'm going to clean my brush. I'll show you a little bit of magic. Okay. So, oops, careful. Alright, so we have our plane here. We're going to take a cloth, and you can see this has been sitting. I've had this on here for a few minutes, right? This is totally dry. Okay, touch it, it's dry. But I do this, I take this, and I just go wipe, and it starts to come off. I wipe it more, and it comes almost completely gone. And I haven't even got any thinner on my rag. But we do this, and we create a nice, dirty, used effect. Okay, I want to clean this up more. All I got to do is add a little bit of thinner to my rag, get the rag wet. Or you can even go a step further, dip a Q-tip in the thinner and clean it up even more. I'm going this to get that dirty look and get a dirty edge on there. Okay, that's the whole purpose of this. So we're just going to rub our plane. We're going to rub one out all over our plane. Okay? Like I said, the cleaner you want a cleaner look, clean it up more. You want it dirty looking, don't clean it up as much. I want dirty. I want this plane to look like it's been in service for a while. Okay? And I'm going to go a little step further in a few spots. Okay, where I might even leave some streaks. Okay, that's kind of the look we're going for. We're going for that dirty look. All of a sudden our panel lines, our lines are a lot more distinct and noticeable, and that's what I want. A little bit of dirt in there that looks like some grime or some grease has been stuck in there and hasn't been cleaned out. That's perfect. That's awesome, right? That's exactly what I'm going for. Okay. Back here, I want to be a little more careful because I've got some delicate parts like the engine nozzles that have just been painted. Okay, so I want to be a little more careful and a little more mindful of my strokes. At the same time, they are engine nozzles, so this part of the plane does get a little bit of wear on it. Just like that. And our engines look pretty good there now. Alright, let's move over to this side. Now I put it on pretty wet over here, so this is still a little bit wet, right? So the more, if you do this while it's still wet, it tends to streak a little bit, but it doesn't really change how you deal with it. It's just the same. You just don't need to press because it streaks. It kind of wipes and smears. Okay. You might have noticed that I'm kind of going in the direction of airflow. I'm not going across like this. I'm not going in this direction. I'm going back and forth like this, like airflow. So I get streaking in a sort of realistic way. And that's perfect. See a little bit of wet pulled out of there and actually streaked. That's you could replicate kind of maybe a little bit of grease streaking on there that was never cleaned and it happened during flight or something like that. That's great. Now, of course, this being the messy job that it is, you get the potential for a very dirty rag, cloth. Suddenly all this detail around the cockpit is showing. That's awesome. And that's what this stuff is all about. And that's also why we do a clear coat, a gloss clear coat. If you do it over a flat clear, it's a lot harder to clean this stuff off, because a flat color absorbs a lot of, let's just face it, it absorbs the paint. Okay, so a little section over on this side that I did not get done. I did this side, but I didn't do this one, so I got to do that one too. Okay, so let's grab our paint again. Shake it up a little bit. Now, if you're looking at it and you go, hey, you know, I kind of want a little bit more here, a little bit more there. For example, our exhausts here, maybe I want a little bit more like this on this side where I've got quite a bit kind of hanging in there. We can do that again. We can put some in here. Just kind of do that on this edge. Okay. And also, maybe you want to replicate a little bit of fuel stain back here where they had some fuel leak. Okay, I'm going to go around on the front on this side here. I have noticed on the Raptors, their noses don't seem to be very dirty. They seem to be pretty clean. Raptors have clean noses, how about that? Alright, I think that's pretty good. Maybe there's a few spots maybe I cleaned a little too clean. Up here. Maybe I went a little too hard on it. Hard on, huh? So I'll just redo that. Okay, now we're going to flip her over. While that's all drying, I'm just going to lay this down. Move these out of the way. And just let her sit on her, lay on her back. Start up at the front here. I have seen some reference photos of Raptors where their underbelly is kind of dirty. You know, it's not F4 Phantom dirty, but in the middle, behind the wheel, behind the landing gear bays, they look pretty gnarly. We are basically just continuing the same steps on the bottom underneath here. Excuse me. And we're just drawing all the lines around every single line, just like we did on the upper half. But I'm making the bottom a lot dirtier. The bottom of the planes are obviously a lot dirtier than they are on the top. Like I was saying, I don't want the bottom to be as dirty as an F4 Phantom, but definitely behind the main weapon bay doors, there's definitely a lot more grime that accumulates back there, basically on the underneath part of the engines. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to splatter it on a lot in the middle there, behind the weapon bay doors. And just go along the lines all the way around, outlining the whole thing, and just doing that all the way, each line in between all those little hard points for the ordnance that sometimes you might see on the F-22s. I think most often the hard points I see fuel tanks. As you can see, just slathering on all that paint in the middle there because I want that extra dirty in there. And you'll see when we get to the cleaning process, it's going to be extra dirty in the middle there. Just making sure I got all my lines on the wings done. We're almost done. Put it all away. And we're going to do our fins, and there's not much to do on these, just to outline that little trace there. That's all there is on the horizontal stabilizers. Then on our tail fins, we've got a little more detail to do. Go around every single line, and we'll work on that. Both sides. There we go. One done, and we'll finish off with the second one here real quick. Clean up my brush with the lacquer thinner, and we're good to go. Okay, so let's first start with our horizontal stabilizers and see how these guys look. Okay, I don't think there's going to be too much. A little bit. But it doesn't really look that great. It looks like a little bit blotchy. I'm not happy with that. So this is where the thinner comes in. Okay. I'm going to take the thinner. I'm going to dip my Q-tip in the thinner. Okay. That's soaking wet. I'm going to put it on the paper towel. I'm going to soak a bunch of it up and get most of it, pretty much get it dry. And now I can go in there. You see how it kind of reactivates it. And now I can wipe it away easier. See how that happens? Reactivate, wipe, and I get a nice streak instead of a blotch. Okay, going along this edge here. While it's still a little bit wet, I get a bit of a wipe, and it creates a bit of a streak. And that looks a little bit better. That's a little bit more streaking now, instead of blotchiness. I like that. That's a much better look. Okay. Go on here and see how this one behaves. We got similar thing going on here, so reactivate and wipe. Reactivate here and wipe. Yeah, better. Wipe. Looks better. Okay, our horizontal stabilizers are done. I'm still going to leave these to dry for a minute. We will work on our main body. Okay, starting at the nose. Okay, give her a wipe. There are some spots that you can't really get into, right? For example, in between these intakes. This is where I get in there with the Q-tip and give her a little bit of a wipe. Okay? Because I can't really get in there, can I? I have made the underneath of this very dirty. That's okay. Up around the nose, I don't want too clean. Yes, I want it clean, but not super clean. If that makes any sense to you guys. Around the canopy here, I want that a little cleaner. Alright, now, before I work on the bottom, I'm going to still give the bottom a minute to dry, because I want to do these. I want to make sure, I want to wipe in this direction like this. And it's going to give me a bit of streaking without getting into the edges of those, like this. Same with our, remember I did a little bit more back here on these guys, on our air vents. Okay. think that did it for the top. I got a little bit of, almost like a, I think maybe hair or something got on my clear coat. Anyway, continue on the bottom. Now I did this wing first, so let's turn around. Any section like this where you think it's just too dirty, it doesn't look right, just add a little bit of thinner. Get your thinner out and start wiping down. Okay. What I find is we get a little bit of texture where maybe I got some dust in the paint, where that's getting caught. You can just find a cleaner spot on your rag and wipe in those and kind of focus in those sections. Okay, as you notice, I'm getting paint on my hands from where I'm touching. Get in our side there. Okay. Really makes the detail on the doors pop, doesn't it? Does give it that grimy look. And like I've said before, I've said it a few times now, how clean or how dirty you want it is really up to you. Because I'm going for a dirtier look, I'm not cleaning it up. I don't care that it looks really dirty. Okay, because that's the look I'm going for. I want dirty. I don't want fresh out of the showroom. If you do fresh out of the showroom, kind of clean, it makes these kits look like a toy almost. Where when you actually get some dirt on it and make it look a little grimy, it looks more realistic. We're almost done. Some spots like this I want to leave. I'm going to leave that. It's going to look like maybe there was a hydraulic leak. Same over here, you know. Oops. Almost broke, yeah, I broke the glue on my fin here. She's a little loose now. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to have to re-glue that. Now, our dirty part. I'm going to wipe like this. Very strategically. Let's get our engines cleaned. Around our center hook. Okay, I'm going to leave the center quite dirty. Just kind of a few spots like this I want to clean. I want it a little bit streaky. This part of the Q-tip still has some of that thinner on it, so I can use that to actually make streaks like this. feel like it's too much, just wipe a little more. Because I got a lot of this, a lot of that panel liner on the bottom in there. But I think that looks good. You get a big variation between the actual weapon bay doors and then suddenly this is dirty. And that's what I'm going for. I want to do a little more streaking just to show. I think that's looking pretty good. Yep. I do want to clean up our bay doors a little bit more here. Just to show that variation. There we go. Okay, we're ready for clear. Okay, so what I'm going to do, first of all, flat clear. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. I realize I'm getting on almost an hour here. So, let me grab this. First thing I'm going to do, Tamiya TS80 flat clear. The reason I do flat clear kind of levels everything out, so it's all the same. We do our fins while our clear coat is drying. These are having a similar effect as our vertical stabilizers, or sorry, our horizontal stabilizers, in that it's kind of blotchy a little bit. I'm not liking that it's just creating a big black line, so I'll just activate that a little bit and make some streaks. There we go. Just a few streaks now instead of a big shadow. That looks better. Okay, flip her over. Same thing. The other thing you can do, if you don't want to wipe it away completely, you can actually use your finger and streak it that way. In this case, I kind of want to leave a little bit, just not too much. Back here, however, kind of reactivate it in that line. Like I said before, I don't want to go too much with our stabilizers. There's not a lot. This area here where the control mechanism is for the flap, that I will leave a little dirty. Okay, so there's one. I'm actually going to get this one ready and hit it with the flat clear also. The one thing I find the flat clear really does is it hides the carrier film on the decals like nothing else. I find I can do 5 coats of gloss clear and it doesn't get rid of it. But the moment I hit it with the flat clear, the decals just disappear and they look like paint. Like you can even see, maybe they call it silvering, the effect, but I can still see the shininess of the decal in comparison to the paint. It's like the glossiness of the paint just doesn't cover the decal the way it's supposed to. And so the shininess of the decal still comes through the shininess of the gloss paint. But the moment I hit it with the flat clear, that just disappears. The Tamiya flat, that's why I love the Tamiya flat clear so much. More so than Mr. Hobby's. There's that side. Okay, let's do the final side. It's cleaned up. Almost done. All right. Done. Okay. This one's done. This one looks like I want it a little cleaner, actually. A little bit cleaner. Say just a little bit. It's just a little too much. That's better. The front edge was just a little too much. Okay, that looks better. Okay, flat clear on this guy. Another thing the clear coat's going to do is seal in all of our oil and everything like that. Okay. I am going to go with a gloss over it again, but the flat is going to just give me that look that I want. This last piece here, and we have to flip our plane over and do the belly. Okay. This is basically what it looks like. You can see the comparison. This is now got the flat on it compared to the glossy. Glossy is super shiny and the flat is dull. And of course our decals have become one with the plane and you cannot tell they're decals anymore. It's that super shiny gloss. Just tones them right down. Okay, that is it for the flat. Okay, we're almost done. Now I've got that on. Basically what I do now is do a gloss clear over it. Okay, but before we do the gloss, we can actually assemble these. Now you can see these have changed. The look on this, let me go back here. The look on this has really changed. Is that decal now looks like it's painted. The shininess of the decal is completely gone and you cannot tell the difference. And that's the whole thing. All that silvering or whatever you want to call it, it's totally gone. And this is flat and it looks like the decal's supposed to be. It looks like it's painted on the plane. Okay? And that's the whole point of it. And that's why I do the flat. Yes, I do the gloss over it to seal it in, but I also do the flat color over it to get rid of that shininess. And it really makes it look like it's supposed to look like that. Okay? Obviously this side I didn't do it as much. You can see there's still a little bit of gloss going through there because there's no decal on this side, so I don't need to do that. Okay? Down over here and get my gloss coat ready. Where's my gloss? Oh, there it is. Okay. This is still a little bit tacky because I laid it on kind of thick, but you can see now as it's drying, the shininess is going away, right? And that's the whole point of it. But I do have to give it a minute to dry. I gotta let it dry, okay? And that's reality. Once you paint something, you gotta let the paint dry. Okay? The actual finished product is really not gonna be any different. It's gonna look like this, okay? It's gonna look like this guy. Okay? It's gonna look pretty much close to this guy. Now obviously the tone of the paint is a lot different because, well, the colors on this particular one are not the exact colors the plane is supposed to be. Like I said before, when I built this thing about 4 years ago, I did not have access to, well, I didn't even have an airbrush. I'd never used an airbrush before. The airbrush was not even on my mind to use. And so I just found Tamiya paints that looked as close to my reference photos as I could find, right? This actual gray color here is something like, this might be like dark ghost gray, I think, and then the dark gray is something like gunship gray, I think. Like I said, it was 4 years ago, so I don't really remember which colors I used back then. But obviously they're very different than the colors I've used on this one, because this one are the actual colors that the instructions call out for, with metallic mixed in them to give you that metallic sheen that the F-22s have. Obviously I never used my technique of doing the flat clear over these, because you can really see the decal. In fact, this old decal that's 4 years old is kind of peeling up a little bit. Obviously I never even used my Mark Fit stuff on these decals at that time. I didn't even have this then. Didn't even know this existed then. That's how much I've learned. And my decals are all really shiny underneath here, and you can really tell that those are decals. And of course I didn't paint the engines properly. I just painted these with gunmetal, and that was it, and not even back to the proper spot that it's supposed to be. That's live and learn, right? One thing that is better about this is my fins move, whereas in this one my polycap inside for this side kind of had a failure and doesn't work. So yeah, there's that problem. I also painted the canopy ridge. The rim around the canopy is the wrong color. It's supposed to be the same as the nose and all the trim around here, but I've got a different color totally on this for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it was a final thought and this paint had run out dry. I don't know. I don't know. It was a long time ago now. So, that put away. This now feels dry. So I wasted enough time talking about it. Now this is dry. Okay. So as you can see, this is obviously similar in color, but not quite. And this has a metallic sheen to it that the other one just does not have. Okay. So these guys go in like this. Oh no, it's the wrong side. Let's go in like this and just sit like that. Okay. Just like that. Nothing too fancy or special about them. You just get them in there like that and they sit. So I'm going to put some glue on our edges here. I do find it can be a challenge getting these to really sit where they're supposed to. We'll hold that for a sec. We'll see if that holds. Pretty good. I must have got enough glue on there. Do the same with this side. Put him in. Hold him in place for a sec. Hasegawa's done a pretty good job at making sure that these fit flat in their spots, in their engineering, to make sure it sits proper where it's supposed to be, so you don't get a lot of wobble in there. There we go. Our tail fins are in spot. This one is wanting to kind of pull, I think. So I'll just hold this for another 5 seconds or so to make sure that glue is doing its job. Now, if this was any other airplane, I would leave it flat. I would leave the clear coat flat on this one. I find flat clear coats just look realistic, especially on military aircraft. But this is an F-22, And you look at any reference photo on F-22, those things are glossy, they're shiny. Okay, tail fins. Now, I've got one tail fin that fits, or I say tail fin, they're horizontal stabilizers. I've got one that I had to trim off because it doesn't actually go into the poly cap like it's supposed to. And though it sits, it is a little bit loose. It sits in there fine. This guy actually goes into his poly cap properly. Like that. But at the same time, he's a little loose. So I'm going to just hold it like that. Okay. Now, the assembly is finished. Completely done. Okay. Just like that. So, we'll spray it with some gloss clear. That's the TS65 gloss clear. Okay. Give that a minute or two to dry, and then we can pull the mask off of the canopy and call it done. Unfortunately, one of my tail fins is starting to move. Not sure why. Spraying it with clear coat suddenly just made it decide to move. So I just have to hold it. Like this, which might make the other one want to move, but we'll find out here. The other one's holding strong. Why my first one just decided, hey, I don't want to stay in my spot. I don't know. As you can see, I'm just kind of holding it kind of on an angle like this to make this one a little bit more straight. This one is fine. He's behaving like he's supposed to. This one is being a little rebellious. As you can see, our plane is shiny again. And other than a couple of decals where you can see the step up, it looks fine. Let's do a little test. Yeah, so we can remove our masking on the canopy. Let's see if I can sit this down. There we go. I'll change the camera. And we're going to start removing masking tape here. So we can finally see our finished product. As usual, guys, I will upload some pictures to my Instagram, as I always do after every build. You guys who watch my channel, you know, after every build I upload stuff to my Instagram. Take some pictures and let you guys see the final product and how she looks. It is a little bit unfortunate that the color around the frame of the canopy doesn't appear to be that much different. Sometimes getting this underneath the vinyl tape is a bit of a challenge. One more piece and then she's done. This doesn't want to come off my finger now. One more piece and she's done, guys. There we go. Finished. We're done. Our F-22 is done. Finished. Got one fin, one stabilizer that wants to keep moving. I'll just kind of lock it in there. There we go. All done, guys. All done. Just like that. Okay, now like I said, see, I got fins that are not really cooperating, so I'm going to get a little bit extra thin here. That should do it. Okay, so that's where I'm going to end it today, guys. We're done. We finished our F-22 Raptor. And so like I said, I'll go off camera, I'll take a bunch of pictures of it, and I'll upload it to my Instagram. You'll see the links down in the description box below. I invite you to hit that like button, and please hit subscribe if you haven't already. I would really love it. That helps me out a lot. Gets my channel going and growing and all that good stuff, and it doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, just do me that favor, please. Yeah, anyway, that's where I'm going to end it today, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and thanks for coming out. Thanks for all the support, and we'll see you all in the next one.